All right, I am back with video number 4. This video, we are going to talk about how to get back on track when you feel like maybe you've gotten off track with some of these habits that you're trying to create. So I think that this is often the biggest reason why we end up, starting a year and we're like, wow, I didn't achieve anything I wanted to achieve last year. And that's because when things come up that kind of get you off your game, it's really easy to say, this isn't gonna work, I'm just gonna give up. But with these tips, you can make sure not to do that, because I understand what it's like to feel like you've messed up and like you are really struggling with something, and I don't want you to feel like that anymore. So I wanna help you figure out how to do that. So, millions of people around the world have already forgotten about their New Year's resolutions. And for me, a lot of the reason why these New Year's resolutions fail is because they're just too extreme. It's things like, I want to get in shape, I wanna lose weight, I wanna stop drinking, I wanna start meditating, but there's no path to get there. And so this is what we're working on, is we're getting on this path to figure out how we can get to that end goal. And so you've already learned how to create a new identity around it. You've already learned how to start creating tiny habits, and you've learned about habit stacking. And now we're gonna learn about how to get back on track. So if you feel like you failed in one of your habits, maybe it just hasn't been able to stick, or maybe you felt like it's just really not working for you, that's okay. And so one of the main things that I want you to do is I want you to look at the complexity of the habit that you're trying to stick to and see if there's maybe a way that you can dial it back a little bit. Like, how can you make it a little bit easier? For example, say your habit was running every day. Okay, so maybe running every day is a lot for you to handle and it seems a little bit overwhelming. Maybe what we want to start with is just running twice a week, or maybe it's even more simple than that. Maybe we just want to get you in the habit of putting on your workout shoes or your workout clothes and your running shoes every day. Maybe we want to start there. Once we get there, we can be, okay, I'm going to just head out the door every day. No pressure. If I run, cool. And slowly build up from there. I also think it's really important, if you feel like you failed, reevaluate your environment. For example, if one of your goals or your habit that you're trying to stick to is to stay away from sugar, it's gonna be really hard to do that if there are like leftover holiday cookies and treats lying around the house. So it's time to take a look at your environment, figure out what you can reevaluate there to make sticking to your habits even easier. Another thing that is super, super important in this whole process, and is something I work on a lot with clients, is just being compassionate with yourself. Life is going to be more difficult at some times, and life is going to be easier at some times. But really, it's important to know that even if you mess up, this is not a time to be super hard on yourself. And I want you to think about, what would your best friend, or what would someone that really cares about you say to you if you were to say, hey, I messed up, I'm a total failure? What would they say? They probably wouldn't let you talk to yourself like that. And so I want you to talk to yourself like someone that really cares about you would talk to you. I also want you to resist the temptation to do something drastic. So that's like, maybe you've been trying to stick to your habits and it's been kind of hard. And so you're like, well, screw it, I'm just gonna go on this diet, this, some extreme diet, cut out all carbs or go on the keto diet, whatever. I want you to avoid to do that. Why? Because one of the reasons that you're trying to create new habits in the first place is because the extremes haven't worked. And so when something works for the short term, and then we end up in the cycle of having to restart because then we lose whatever results we had, that means it doesn't work. So resist the temptation to do something drastic, like compensate for overeating one day or over exercising because you missed a day at the gym. Like, please, we don't want to be doing that. Also, remember, life happens. And so it's just as important to be flexible as it is to be disciplined. The best way to learn is by failing. So that means the best way to learn is actually by maybe doing something wrong a couple of times and figuring out what doesn't work. And that can help you figure out better what does work. So if you feel like you're struggling with this, please reach out to me. I would love to offer you some time to chat about your goals, what you feel like is holding you back, and see maybe if there's any way that I can support you in creating healthier habits and staying consistent with them in the long term, ending the cycle of guilt and restriction, and finding long-term success in your nutrition. I'm all about that. So go ahead and let me know. You can drop a comment below, send me an email, and I would love to chat with you. And I also want to hear your feedback. What did you think about this series? What did you learn? What have you implemented? Anyways, I will talk to you very soon.